Howdy, I'm Matt. Are you interested in the TBS Crossfire? Would you like to know what made me choose the TBS Crossfire over the OpenLRS, which is like the orange stuff which you can get from HobbyKing, or maybe the WolfBox, maybe EzUHF, or even Draglink? What made me choose Crossfire? That is exactly what this video is about. This is going to be me and you having a chit chat about these types of units and what led me to the decision and paying £200, apologies for the noise there, £200 for the TBS 2-watt module, and which has literally just been and arrived here. So if that is something which perks your interest, carry on and watch this video. This for me is the video which I wish I had when I was doing my research into these modules. So with that said, for myself, Matt, enjoy the rest of this episode. Cheerios. Howdy, I'm Matt, and in this episode we are going to be discussing UHF. And what I mean by that is that below here I've got the box which is the TBS Crossfire. However, I'm going to discuss with you what led me to make the decision to go this route as opposed to maybe the WolfBox, the Orange 433, EzUHF, and so on and so forth. So let's just set the tone here, is that there are many reasons why you would want to use not 2.4 gigahertz for your receiver. Typically, if you look at the rest of YouTube, it will be because of long distance. But there are other reasons why you would want to be using 433 or UHF for your transmitter and receivers on your RC models. And that the one for me is that I feel some, no, I'm not going to say massively expensive models. I've got models which I like a lot. Okay, let's put it that way. And I'd be really annoyed, and that's me keeping it family friendly, in fact let's just zoom out here as such, there we go, is that I would be a little bit annoyed if I stuffed them in, like the mini jack for example. I run that currently with an L9R, and the reason for that is sometimes I can droop below the hedge lines. And again, I'm recording this when it's summer here in the United Kingdom, so the hedgerows are really thick, the crops are really high, and the trees are in full leaf and things like that. And it's very easy to lose signal, and especially that's not something which you wanted to happen to a model which you like, okay, and would take blooming ages to put back together again if you were to cut it in half. So that's just why I'm trying to set the context there. It's not always these items are not always about like long distance flight. There are other valid reasons, such as security of model, as in that you're very unlikely to have issues with 433 or 858. Is it 858, 868, or 915 megahertz, depending on what the settings when it comes to the TBS or the. We'll also discuss the FrSKy R9M kit as well as part of this chit chat too. So before we get to the unboxing of the TBS transmitter, which we've got there, I want to put things into a little context, which is that on the back of my Tyrannus is that I have the orange kit. Now this is orange, I think it might be the 1-watt module. I went for the higher watt one because you can, by the way, you'll need to check what you're allowed to do within your own country. And the reason why I'm saying is the 1-watt module is because I know that you can change, and I have changed the power settings on my orange set. And again, 433 is actually technically illegal here in the United Kingdom, but there is a band at 459. Again, you'll need to have a quick look on the internet to find the exact frequency ranges, which is allowed to be used here in the United Kingdom. That's what I've been set this one to. And again, that was a long time ago I set that one up. So this is the orange module, which you can buy from HobbyKing. You'll notice that I've got a 3D printed mount on the back. Now, I am using their stock antenna purely just as a safety net to protect the antenna, just in case I did power on the module by accident. But I do have, the SRH-771 Diamond antenna, which is a special 433 antenna, and it makes a massive difference to link to the RSSI value when just pottering around with my model, say like the Mini Salmon for example. Now until like today, literally till today, I have only UHF long range stuff which I've used has been this Orange receiver and transmitter, and they have worked fantastically well. In fact, I've only had one incident with this, and I won't go into too much detail, but put it this way, Matt was flying behind a pond, not very high, 10 meters perhaps, of course. Loosely speaking, may have been 10 meters off the ground, and it fell safe. And the vector didn't even have a chance to kick in, and it landed down flat. I could see it in the video. It was just down on the ground. It was just sat there. So that's the only one issue which I've had, where I've had a fail safe and the model's been landed because of that. There is another reason, is that one thing which I've noticed that more and more, and it's just from like probably just my paranoia, is that I have noticed every now and again there's been like PWM out of bounds messages coming up on the vector, which I'm not too sure whether it's vector or receiver orientated. My hunch is that it is receiver stroke transmitter orientated, and that's why I was looking at other options. So that's why I just want to set the scene here. I want to set the scene absolutely clear, is that I am very, very happy and also seriously impressed with the Orange UHF kit. It's so cheap, it's unreal, like silly cheap. The receivers are not very expensive either. I've got several receivers. In fact, I was really lucky I was able to buy a couple off Dave when he upgraded. Well, he's taken a different route to me. He went from the Orange to EzUHF, which we'll discuss in a moment, and yeah, I've managed to pick up a collection of receivers. I use it in a collection of my models, and like I said, I've been really impressed with it. It's just been that one niggle on the back of my head over that PWM warning, which has been popping up from time to time, and also I've been quite impressed by the TBS kit as well. It's been, we'll get to that in a moment. Now, before we digress any further, I just want to point out there is this WolfBox kit as well, which is, that's brand new, but I've never literally used it. It's still got the antenna here, and the receiver antenna, and I've not even opened up the packet of that one. I've bought this in with like full intent of doing like a review on it, but just keep in the back of your mind, this is the like same price, if not slightly more expensive than the HobbyKing stuff, and for all intents and purposes it runs OpenLRS, which is the same software, and it should be pretty much like for like the same kit which is in there. So the HobbyKing Orange stuff, that's the one which I've used and I can personally recommend. The WolfBox is, for all intents and purposes, the same as the Orange stuff. It's the same technology underlying it. So I am going to include that in this conversation just for completeness, but just be aware I've not personally used that, so I can't give you any more comments beyond that. Now, I need to just get the iPad up and running a moment. And the reason why I need to get the iPad up and running, I'll put a link to this thread in the video description below, because it was a conversation which I had with the community over at Rag the Nuts Off. Now, there are plenty of options out there for us as pilots or RC pilots when it comes to UHF or systems which are able to give us better reliability and better distance. Okay, so the obvious one is DragonLink. Now, the reason why I personally ruled out DragonLink is a little bit of irony, is that number one, I've seen it being used, and Andy, who we fly with, I've seen he use it, and he's had literally no issues with his at all. So that's actually a big thumbs up for DragonLink. I won't say that there. But and also, I've just looked at my notes here, and I'll put a link to this whole thread in the the comments section underneath this video. I reckon you could probably get to the moon with DragonLink, but the thing is that all round for me, DragonLink is scary expensive, and from what I could tell, support is down to one bloke in one thread in a forum on the internet. And also, frankly speaking, I would probably need a pound of 1 litre of lube for the import duty. Now, I know Andy recently received some receivers and he didn't get caught on them at all. So yeah, I kind of ruled out DragonLink. I think it was down to cost, and the receivers weren't expensive, and then it was V1s and V2s. Again, just to say thumbs up for DragonLink, I know that your V2 receivers are compatible with the V1 stuff, so that's good programming, good foresight, I'd like to say, from DragonLink side. But for me, I felt it was just too much. Okay, then again, I don't like the idea of support being down to one bloke in one forum. And I know I'm simplifying that, but I'm just being brutal here. And remember that this has been all these parts have been being bought out of my own money. So I'm not like I'm getting this stuff for free and saying, well, hey, it's great. That's not what's going on here. The WolfBox was bought out of my own money. The orange stuff, I can tell you, I've bought this, a collection of receivers, and I'm thoroughly impressed with it. The only mod you want is maybe you want to 3D print a back cover, which is a little bit nicer, and maybe you want to get the Diamond SRH-771 antenna for your transmitter. Besides that, bloody good. Okay, let's talk about EzUHF. UHF. Just make my words out. Now, that's something which Dave uses. He's got both modules. He's got the module which goes in the back of the transmitter and the separate higher power transmitter as well. Obviously, we've only ever seen it working on low power, and the results have been very, very good. But there's been this big question mark around whether EzUHF is going to be around for much longer. But there's a bonus then, again, parts are in the UK, and the other one is it's the older tech. It's not really being developed, and it's just little quality things, like Dave noticed that the screen printing rubbed off on his transmitter module. That's not really oozing confidence in the components and the production, you know. So that kind of got ruled out for me. Now, there was a note on here, I'm just reading here, about the Orange and WolfBox stuff. OpenLRS, very, very good. But actually, the one negative I would actually say about this is that maybe the software setup is a little bit ropey. It was a little bit tricky for me to get that sorted, but once you get your head around it, it's very straightforward, and there are some pretty good tutorials on YouTube, but you do have to hunt for them a lot. So that's probably the only negative which I can say there. Now, I did not consider the FrSKy R9M or the R9 kit at all, and that may be a bit of a surprise to you, because many of you know I love my Tyrannus. It's sat here on my desk next to me, and I'm thoroughly impressed with the Tyrannus. It is a fantastic piece of kit. But as many of you know, or may not know, is FrSKy dropped a complete ball when they released the R9 kit. So they created their own kit, which was, I think this is right, 868 megahertz or 915, depending where you are in the world. By the way, if you're in the UK, you need to be using the 868 megahertz frequency, not the 915, because it will interfere with the mobile masks, etc., etc. Anyway, coming back to my topic. Is the FrSKy R9 stuff, they released it and they didn't include the right antennas, and people were burning out their transmitters, and that is such a schoolboy screw up. I have literally no faith in any of the FrSKy R9 kit. Now, I'm sure those of you which have been late to the party and have not had this issue with the antennas and stuff like that, it's not an issue. You probably think it's fantastic. But for me, seeing a brand new product being relaunched, and again, being a consumer, being in your shoes, just didn't give me any confidence at all in that kit. So I'm afraid I completely, the FrSKy R9 kit was not even part of the equation here, for the reasons which I've been explained. Now, the other one is the TBS, so Team Black Sheep kit, and actually, did I still got the bag? Oh, I'm just looking behind me because I put it down the back of the radiator earlier. I've got a collection of receivers here. I think I've only got, yes, I've only got the smaller stuff here, so we'll have a chit chat about the TBS stuff. So the one thing, the one product which really stood out to me when I was doing my research into this kit is the one which was newer, that was being actively developed. It was being, and it had a really big community behind it, and that was the TBS Crossfire. Now, let's be brutally honest here, is that there was a comment in here, I'm not going to say it was, but according to Trappy, it was like the second coming of Jesus Christ when Crossfire was being relaunched and stuff like that. And it made me laugh. It really did. But as much as what perhaps my personal views might be on TBS, again, there's a checkered history there. I'm sure some of you may or may not know about it. Go and do your own research with them as a team. All I'm going to say is the bloke got character and he's certainly got passion. So actually, he's right up there. I'd say he's probably my kind of guy, just for having the passion and the balls to pursue something like this. all the way through. So putting that to a side, it's being actively developed. There's a big ecosystem behind it. Many people are using it. There was one very curious comment. I'm not going to say who said this to me, but there was one curious comment, and it's called the iPhone effect. And I've noticed, by the way, I've never owned an iPhone. I've owned iPads, I think they're fantastic. But there was something called an iPhone effect, which is that people spend so much money on a mobile phone-like device, they have to say it's good because they've spent so much money on it. And if they were to say it's whatever, a derogatory term, is that would pointed out that they made a mistake and chosen the wrong product. And that sometimes is the brutal reality. You get so committed in to a product or even a service, is that for you to say it's bad and you've spent all this money on it, and it's known as the iPhone effect, where you go and buy a new version and it's only like minor things which are being upgraded. Sorry if you're a Mac fan or an Apple fanboy, that's just the way it is. I like a variety of products. You've got a pad in front of me. I use Windows 10 and I use Unix or versions of Unix on desktop servers, etc., stuff like that. I am platform agnostic, okay, and that's just a view which is out there, and it's also my view when it comes to the iPhone, and it is a real term. It's called the iPhone effect. And that was a big concern when it came to the TBS kit, because it's not cheap. The box, which I've got literally just here, is 200 quid, give or take a few pennies. And of course, it's not just 200 quid, it's 200 quid plus you need to buy the receivers in there. So I've got the micro receiver, which I've got in there, which isn't, I'll tell you what, I'll get this one open so you can have a look. And you've always got to go careful of those kind of effects when it comes to products. When they are a premium product, is someone just saying it's great because it makes them feel better because they've spent so much money? Or is there actual legs in it? And that's the thing, is that I spoke to numerous pilots who use the TBS kit, and from people who I personally trust and value their opinions from. And again, you can have a look in the thread in the forums about Crossfire and just do your own research on them. And the general consensus, there's some people which don't like it, but the general consensus is that it's actually very good. Even the one person who didn't like it for one very specific reason did actually say, is that, Matt, like if I was in your shoes, I'd probably go with TBS kit as well. So I've gone for the TBS Crossfire. That is a micro receiver, which I've got just there, and you'll see how. So that's my hand. My hand's not that big, but it's absolutely tiny, and you've got this dipole typed antenna on the end, and you can buy additional antennas. In fact, it comes with a spare antenna. I think that's a really nice idea, so you could potentially use the same receiver in multiple models and have the antennas fixed in there. I've actually gone for some upgraded antennas for my receivers, which are in this bag over here somewhere. He says, there they are. Yes, there they are, just there. Some have just built out. I've gone for some upgraded fixed antennas. And that's what I've been going for mine. So I have gone down the TBS route. I've got the receivers and the antennas from DroneBit, so big hat tip to Matt over there. However, for the actual transmitter, Matt ran into some issues with customs, which those of you which have done any form of importing into the UK, is 99% of the time customs are great. It just flies through, you pay whatever your import taxes and stuff like that, and there's no issues at all. However, if you get a container or a package open, they can sit on that for bloody weeks. And unfortunately, that was just the instance with the original transmitter which I bought from DroneBit. So I think about a month later, I pinged Matt and said, look, I've gone and bought one, and I've been and bought it from HobbyRC, so a hat tip for them, because I only literally ordered it yesterday evening, 2 days ago, really late in the night, so like 1 day ago in all reality, and it's been turned up here this morning via courier, which is happy days, and that's what I've been and received now. You may be wondering, Matt, why have you gone for, and again, there's two modules available. You've either got this like backpack module, which will fit in your JR bay in the back of your transmitter. So this is a Taranis, I presume Spectrum have similar JR bays as well. You can either get the module like this, which would perfectly be fine. would be absolutely fine for most people's uses, okay? Now, the reason why I have personally gone for the bigger module, and in fact, there's me just patting the box, let's open it up and take a look. The reason why I went for this bigger module is because simply resale value. The reality is that most people who goes Crossfire, and that's what I would suggest to you, go for the Micro TX, which is just a module which fits in the back. That's going to be happy days. That is going to fit most people's uses. But the reality to that is that because that module is only 100 quid, is that they're going to be really, really cheap for like resale. So if I ever wanted to, so if I bought the Micro TX version, is that they're not going to be worth very much when they go on to get resold, because every man and his dog has been and got them. Whereas because the separate module, and I've literally opened the box, taken a photo of it myself and popped it on Instagram, but the thing is that with this separate module, there was two reasons why I went for it. And I'll get to them right now. Sorry, I've been saying it. I'll get to it right. Number one, resale value. I am likely to get more money back on this transmitter module than what I would have done the other one. Okay, so that is me in my head future-proofing a later upgrade. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is because of the little screen which is on there. I have never ever got on with the Lula scripts for the Tyrannus. Now I know some people love them, etc, etc, but with the module, the Micro TX module for the Crossfire, it doesn't have a Bluetooth screen on it. You have to use a Lula script to bind the receiver and blah blah blah. I've never got on with the Lula scripts. I've always found them very clunky and I didn't like them. But I really did like the idea of the Bluetooth module, which is it Bluetooth which is on this one? I can't remember the exact specifications. But in short, you can configure and you can set up your receivers and upgrade the receivers using this device only. And for me, that just makes really, really good sense. And I think there's a use case or a practical example is that last weekend, not last weekend, 2 weeks before that, we were up at the Funny Farm, we were flying, and Andrew uses Dragon Link, and unfortunately, because he had changed something on his transmitter, is that he had then lost the bind between his transmitter module and his receivers, and because he didn't have a laptop, and you need a laptop to bind the transmitters to the receivers when it comes to Dragon Link, because he didn't have that, then there was two models he couldn't fly. Very frustrating. Whereas this module, you just hook it up, mash a couple of buttons, and off you go. And that's just me just keeping it really simple. Literally, it's been and turned up here. I just need to stick that on the back, that way round, get it the right way round, and you stick that on the back, plug the wires in, and then poke that in the back, and then go and bind up the receivers. Howdy, it's Matt. Now, I'm adding this bit in while I'm editing the video, as you can see on your screen. And I've got some really good news for you. I feel so happy with myself right now that I did choose this module, because I can't remember the last time I watched the Painless 360 video on setting up the Crossfire. It's got to be 3-4 weeks ago now. And this module's been turned up, and a couple of button presses. I had the receiver bound, I had the power outage, settings set, I had the location set as well, the right frequency, and crucially I had the output for the different options in the receiver also set as well. It was so easy to use the little screen on the back and the little joystick as well. Was absolute child's play. Now, one little note which you don't really see until the very end is that I do have like a stand module on the back of my Tyrannus. Go careful if you've got one of those. Well, number one, you'd probably want one just to protect the module on the back. But go careful, because mine had 3 bars on the back, and one of the bars would, if you closed it down, would be pushing the little joystick on the actual transmitter module. So I've taken one of the bars out on the like stand module on the back of the Tyrannus. So anyway, I thought you would find that of value, so I've added that back in. So let's get back to the desktop. So I have spent 180 quid bar a couple of pennies on the, and again it's the full 2-watt version. By the way, it doesn't transmit excuse me, it doesn't transmit on 2 watts all the time. It will only transmit above 500 milliwatts if you've got the FrSKy battery pack connected to this, and of course you can also change the settings to, and again I'm in the UK, so obviously I need to stay legal. I'll need to tweak my settings so it doesn't go above the maximum power rating is what we're allowed here in the UK. Anyway, 190 quid for the thing, and again the reason I've gone that for 2 reasons: ease of use on the flight line, and number 2, resale value. Okay, and that's the reason why I've gone for this, is because they are less likely to see these later on, because the price point is twice as expensive as the other ones, and of course those pilots looking for the more power will, yeah, it just makes more sense. Now when it comes to receivers, I've got a collection of these, the little micro receivers. Now there are nano ones as well, which are like half the size too, perfect for quads. In fact, even these would be great for quads as well. Same kind of thing with the antenna. Just the only downside, because you are at a lower frequency compared to 2.4, is that the antennas are quite long. Okay, now that little receiver is 40 quid, we'll say about $55, something like that. Again, you can buy them from numerous different places, and the nice thing about these is that you can bind them on the flight line. You have ground and 5 volts, which I'm pretty sure, reading the documentation, they'll also take 6 volts as well, but don't quote me on that one. And then you get channels 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now you may be freaking out, well Matt, can I only have 3 channels out here? What about S-Bus? What about this CRSF protocol? And that, by the way, that was the other reason why I went for the TBS Crossfires, because while I don't think you can use CRSF with the Eagle Tree Vector, it's nice to know that these guys are pushing the boundaries and even brought out their own protocol for communications between devices. So again, that was another positive to the TBS kit. So coming back to channels 1, 2, 3 and 4, you can configure in the transmitter module what the output of these are. So in my case, channel 1 will be S-Bus. Okay, so the S-Bus will then get fed onto an Eagle Tree Vector, and then channels 2, 3 and 4, I'll actually set those up as probably what channels 9, 10 and 11, which will be for pan, tilt and visor. Okay, so when I say visor, I got a little FPV camera pod like that. So you've got pan, you've got tilt up and down, and we've got a little visor mod as well to keep the water out. So that's what we were doing. Again, if I need access to the other channels from this, then what I'll need to do is maybe set up channel 4, for example, as also being S-Bus, and then put that into an S-Bus to PWM converter, which I might not have. I'm looking, no, I've moved it off my desk. You can get an S-Bus to PWM converter, or sorry, an S-Bus to PWM converter, and they also double up as a PPM to a PWM converter, and they're super cheap. I think they were like $5, $7, something like that. And then I can then tap off as many channels, additional channels as I want out of the S-Bus stream to maybe do an FPV switcher or something else like that, or maybe a little cargo bay drawer to drop something out at the bottom. So my point being, it might say channels 1, 2, 3 and 4 on here. However, you can configure them to be whatever you want to be via the transmitter module itself. So that's it. I genuinely do hope, and I'm just going to take a quick sip of coffee a second, so excuse me a moment. I genuinely do hope that that has been of some help to you, to help you understand why I ended up at this module, which is not a cheap module. And I haven't even been and used it yet, but I feel kind of comfortable in most of its operation. There are some fantastic tutorials out there. Lee Schofield from Painless 360 has been done some fantastic tutorials, which I've watched, and this is one of the beautiful things about the internet. I was able to get to see and almost play with one of these before I'd even laid my money on the table. But the one thing which I was missing myself was an objective view over, say, the WolfBox and the Orange OpenLRS kit, which I want to say is very, very good. It's kept me happy for over a year. And I think the only negative which I can say about it is that I think the setup is complicated, or is not as easy as what it could be. Okay, that's the only negative which I can say about the OpenLRS stuff. So that includes the orange stuff from HobbyKing and the WolfBox from Banggood, but that's cheap. That was the other reason I went down that route. It was cheap. The TBRS stuff was around or coming out at the time, but the orange stuff was super cheap. It was a very, very simple and inexpensive route into long-range antennas and secure systems. I'm going to say, remember security, keeping it, making sure the model stays in the sky when you fly in trees and doing the stuff which I'm sure many of you have seen on the channel doing. Is that it has been absolutely fantastic, and I am going to put this up for sale in the Facebook group over the next couple of weeks or so. The reason being is that I've got a transmitter module, I've got the Diamond antenna, and I've got like 5 or 6 receivers as well. So it's going to make a fantastic bundle for someone who wants to get into this side of the hobby, and I'm sure they'll really, really enjoy, and as I have with that kit. But I wanted something a little bit extra, and we spoke about Dragon Link, we spoke about EzUHF. Remember the basic summary: Dragon Link, expensive, could get caught with import tax. But remember, no, I am based in the UK, and support basically fell down to one bloke in a forum somewhere on the internet, which wasn't giving you like the most confidence. However, just want to put that into context, and maybe if I was using this for professionally, is that it would have been a very tough choice between the Team Black Sheep TBS kit, the Crossfire unit, and Dragon Link. So if I was using this professionally, it would have been a very, very hard decision between the two because of the reliability of Dragon Link. Okay, so we need to put everything into perspective here. We also spoke about EzUHF, not really being developed anymore from what I can tell. Relatively inexpensive. That's definitely a thumbs up for the EzUHF stuff, but not. Dave's got it. He's had kind of like mixed results with it. One thing which I do like, and again, trying to stay with the positives here, one thing which I do like about EzUHF is that you can also pick out link quality, which you can then show on your OSD we're using the Eagle Tree vectors. So sometimes your RSSI might drop, but your link quality is still 100 or very, very high, or inversely as well, different depending on the situation. So that link quality is actually, if you're looking for just a small step up, or maybe you get offered EzUHF as an option and you're using an Eagle Tree vector, for example, then it's cheap. Okay, that's this big plus side, and it does have that link quality option as well. We also spoke about one or two other ones, and you'll have to excuse me, I've been here chatting away, and there's one more which I know that I've been and forgotten. We had Orange TBS Crossfire, Dragon Link, the FrSKy R9. Not even in the equation. I completely ruled that out because of the way that FrSKy released the product with the wrong antennas and the whole fiasco with that. I'm sure they've sorted that out, but for me, I had no confidence in the kit, so it wasn't even an option. And TBS, so many good things which have been said out there. I was a little bit cautious, got to be completely honest with you, a little bit cautious about that iPhone effect, which we spoke about. Somebody's 200 quid in, they're going to say it's good. Of course they're going to try and say it's good, because they've just spent 200 quid and their missus is going to slit their throat if it ain't good. You know what I'm trying to say there. But for my research, the TBS kit did come out on top, and like I said, I've gone for the more expensive module, and the reason for that is for the ease of setup, because it's got this little screen on the back, and the other one is for resale value. Every man and his dog is going to have that little plug-in module and whatnot. Not every man and his dog is going to have one of these, and it should fetch hopefully twice the amount as the little back module, which by the way, I'm not saying the TBS back module is no good. I'm just thinking a year, 2 years time, it may be that TBS have brought out something else, for example, or maybe FrSKy have actually brought out something which has really perked my interest. So that was an awful lot to take in. I sincerely hope that this chit chat about UHF kit has made sense. I've not really gone into like the technical details that this is 433 and it does this and that and this does that. I've tried to keep it like high level in plain English, and because that's what I wanted or what I needed when I was making the decision whether to go for the TBS kit. That's the choice which I've made. I probably wouldn't suggest to you that you go for the 2-watt module. Again, I've explained my reasons for it, but that really is twice the amount compared to the standard little JR bay which sticks in. Yeah, it is more expensive to have gone that route, but I've explained my reasons for that. If you are on a budget, just go for the little plug-in one. It goes from 25 to, I think it's 500 milliwatts, something like that, and it will do, I don't know, look up on YouTube, there's 100 kilometer flights out there, 30 kilometer flights out there people have done. Absolutely insane. And again, if you think about that, if a transmitter even running on 25 milliwatts can do 30 Ks, me a hedge or two away, that's a lot of confidence that the model isn't going to go and get stuffed. So like I said, I've done my best to try and keep this in plain English. If you want to find out technical details on these kind of devices, go and do your own research on the Googler. I'm more than happy to answer any questions when it comes to OpenLRS and the HobbyKing Orange stuff, because I've used that myself. Like I said, I'm genuinely impressed with that for the price, for the money, for the general reliability. Like I said, I can only mention once, and you think how many flights I've potentially had with that kit. I am genuinely impressed, and it's only now when I'm thinking about I want to make perhaps a little bit more serious, and I've gone from quite serious to really good stuff, hopefully, as the case may be. So like I said, I hope this video has been and helped you. This has only just been and turned up today. So if you would like to find out more about my adventures with the TBS kit, the Crossfire kit, don't forget to press the red subscribe button underneath this video. I'm Matt, by the way, and welcome aboard. If you've enjoyed this chit chat, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. And like I said, any questions or comments about the kit here, or just UHF and long range stuff, or like I said, for peace of mind when you're flying more expensive models around your flying site, please just ask in the comments section underneath this video. And of course, keep in the back of your mind, the Rag the Nuts off Facebook group has got over 2,600 cool pilots like me and you in there. Chances are somebody else out there has got one of these and has had, if you've got an issue or question about anything here, or maybe another type of system which I've not mentioned, chances are somebody in that group has used it or is even using it right now. So don't forget to nip across to Faceballs and hit the invite button, which is on the right hand side of the page, and one of the moderators will pick up your request later today. So on that note, a really good chit chat about UHF kit. I genuinely mean this. I hope that you found this useful. This is the video which I wished I had when I was doing my own research. So on that note, from myself, Matt, cheerios! Right, so how does this go on here then? I can't pack this up too much. Right, clean that off there. There's some holes here in the back. That feels kind of about right. Let's take the sticky stuff off and go for it. Oh, this is like taking the layer off the iPhone when you first get it. Oh. Did you ever watch the what was it, Big Bang Theory, and one of the lads let the other bloke take the screen cover off? That's what that moment just was, taking that off. So let's see the new phone.
I stopped on the way to work. Hey, do you want to peel the plastic off with me?
Really, me? It's like the best part.
Grab a corner. Oh, what's your hurry, cowboy? Savor the moment.
Oh yeah. I'm getting really careful here. There's just some lugs which I need to poke in there, and there's another little lug in there, and then hopefully all that goes together, and then we push this down. Now setting this up, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just got two plugs, and I don't know which way round. Well, one of them's a big fat plug, so I don't think I can screw that one up. So we'll just mash that in there. Nice big plugs, by the way. And we'll mash that in there. Now I'm guessing the other one is RC input. I would be, because we got the PPM which comes out on the back when you plug it into the back of the transmitter, I'm guessing that's the RC input compared to HT is head tracking, isn't it? Never been a big fan of head tracking, and I didn't put that one in very well, did I? It's just been and come undone. So if you get yours, make sure you push it in till it clicks. Ah, there you go. Did you hear that click? Happy days. And let's put that into the RC one. Yeah, and HT must be for head tracking, which is something which I don't use or and never will use. Although I know Andy does that with his Dragon Link stuff and his Fat Shark gear. So yeah, that was it. Now installation. Put it in there. Oh, a little tip for you: waggle it when you put it in. Click, click, click. Job's a good one. Where's my antenna? Oh, I remember this on the Painless 360 video. The antenna is in the bottom. That would have been a concern. There's a funny little dude in the bottom there. I've got no idea what that's for. I don't remember seeing that anywhere. And remember, the one thing which you can really screw up your transmitter module is that never ever power on a device, a transmitter device, unless without having the antenna on and done up. So let me just go and do that one up and then tighten it up as well to make sure there's a good thing on there. And there we go. That was the TBS Crossfire 2-watt module install. A bit of sticky tape, 2 plugs and an antenna, and you stick it in the bay. That is classed as happy days. That might, oh, now it's clicked in. That might even be Matt proof. So anyway, from myself, Matt, cheerios. I'm going to go and play with this now. And like I said before we wrapped up a minute ago, this literally only has just been and turned up with me. If you'd like to find out what my thoughts are on the TBS Crossfire in a couple of weeks' time, don't forget to mash that subscribe button, because remember, that module, those receivers were all bought out of my own money. And I sincerely hope it really is an upgrade over the OpenLRS kit and the Orange kit which I've been using. So from myself, Matt, and the TBS Crossfire, cheerios!